let's talk about what's going on at ITV. Yesterday, we saw another committee hearing. Those select committee hearings providing a lot of news stories these days. This is the Culture Select Committee. The ITV Chief Executive, Carolyn McCall, and other executives appeared before MPs. They were already briefed to do that, about talking about ITV and the general, work of ITV. But actually, it all became focused on Phillip Schofield and their handling of that whole scandal of his relationship with a much younger staff member. And Carolyn McCall said that she thought the relationship had been deeply inappropriate. There had been very horrible rumours about the presenter years before this story emerged publicly, at least off just the internet. But she denied that they had turned a blind eye to the affair. Well, Nigel Pauley is a media commentator and joins us now. Good morning to you, Nigel.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. She's a good performer, is Dame Carolyn McCall, isn't she? She was able to hold her own yesterday in the committee, but there's no doubt at all the fingers are very much pointing at ITV executives ever since Phillip Schofield resigned. Yeah,
she did a very good job of deputy heads rolling. I thought she protected. What she actually said was nobody on the board would have turned a blind eye to something as serious as this. Yeah. In other words, the underlings may well have done, but not us, Gov. So she is distancing herself from this. A lot of it didn't make any sense. I thought she was like a headmistress trying to talk to an assembly of unruly children.
Very headmistressy, yeah.
Actually, Dame-flamed her way through. Yeah, she sort of Dame-flamed her way through, talking to John Nicholson, answering questions very simply. One thing that didn't make any sense, Julia, is that this was there was no investigation, even though they said there was an investigation, and yet it wasn't deemed to be serious, except they asked someone 12 times if there was a relationship and what was going on. Mr. X, as he's known now, the young runner. Well, why would you ask someone 12 times if it's just rumour and gossip?
Yeah.
So, Phillip Schofield, very sad to hear that they're both having counselling and they're worried for their mental health. I think he should be left alone, actually. I think this is now about ITV and how they deal with bullying accusations. I think John Nicholson said that this morning team called their viewers tower block traces, which I'm sure is going to be a bit of a shock to their dwindling band of viewers. Yeah.
And again, that's the whole idea of the sort of the media elite and this disparaging view of their audience. That's one of the things that we definitely don't do here at Talk. That's things we feel like we're a voice for our audience that weren't getting it from other mainstream broadcasters. Like ITV. One of the key things there, particularly with this Dame Carolyn McCall, is that she was at the Guardian newspaper. She's very woke. It's all about inclusion and diversity and all of these right on things. And yeah, actually, you just know, as always, absolute rank hypocrisy when money talks. Phillip Schofield was a big scar. Money talked, and they were happy to cover it up. That's what everyone knows happened.
That's what it appears to be, and the fact is that the board are trying to say it's not us, but their share price is being affected. I'd be more interested in Dame Caroline, how she's lost 58% of the share price of ITV since she's been in charge, how there have been 3 or 4 suicides connected to programmes that have gone out under ITV. Carolyn Flack as well, we had issues with people on Love Island. They're the sort of questions that need to be answered. But the fact is, you and I have both worked in the media, and you and I, Julia, both know that senior executives possibly wouldn't know this. They also know that at the top, people who are very powerful do tend to get away with a lot more than people at the lower rungs. Yeah. And Phillip Schofield, let's face it, was more important to this morning than a runner who come and go. Yeah. And that's where we're at. The imbalance.
Yeah, no, that imbalance of power, and that's the crucial thing, and that's why that is a totally inappropriate relationship. And there are loads of rumours rife on the internet as well, and again, which we cannot discuss on air. But one of the people who has been really putting the knife in has been Eamon Holmes. He's a previous ITV presenter, and he believes that Phillip Schofield's rude to his wife Ruth, who I have to say Ruth is a wonderful and lovely, lovely, lovely person. Eamon's really been putting the boot in. On social media and elsewhere, and he apparently now is basically Davina McCall, let's say, Carolyn McCall, is almost accusing him of libelling the network and Phillip Schofield, and he's almost accusing her of libelling. He wants now a transcript of what was said in all these meetings and what was said at the Select Committee. There's a lot of personal beefs going on here, aren't there?
There are beefs. I don't think Eamon's got anything left to prove, so I don't think he's got particular grudges. He didn't get on with Schofield, and he didn't particularly get on with Martin Frizzell. But that's, that's by the by. You cannot get on with your editor, but still try and tell the truth about what's happened at your newspaper or ITV. But the other thing, where she did get rattled, where Dame Caroline did get rattled, was when John Nicholson was saying, you have a toxic culture of bullying. I have people who've come to me to say what was happening. It was him who said about the tower block traces. And that's where she started to get rattled and said, well, they haven't come to us. And he said, well, they've come to me. And she said, well, they haven't come to ITV. And he said, well, I will give you the details if you pass the details on. Yeah. So I think the fact is that they had tried to dismiss these as ex-employees who were disgruntled. But John Nicholson obviously is a shrewd politician. He's from the SNP, but also a broadcaster. And he's clearly got evidence in his locker that will damn ITV. Yeah. And he will happily pass that on. And that's going to be the issue. And I know a lot of your viewers will say, what's this got to do with things? Why do we care? Phillip Schofield. And as I say, this has moved on from Phillip Schofield. Yeah. It's about big organisations like ITV, how they deal with their staff, how they deal with people out there, and the hypocrisy of how they're all a happy family and actually hate the people who watch their programmes.
That's a very good point. Really good to talk to you, Nigel Pauley, as a media commentator. Thank you very much for that. Emma Revel, as political commentator. Again, the politics going on behind the scenes at these big companies is almost bigger than what's going on the front. I mean, look, Phillip Schofield's gone. We understand there's some mental health issues. I mean, there would be. There's a lot of pressure. People who... Does everyone need to move on from this now? Or again, do people want to keep putting the knife in?
I mean, between the, inappropriate affairs, bullying and the gossip, infighting and, personal vendettas, it's just like Westminster.
Yeah, isn't it?
And very similar to Boris Johnson and the Partygate situation. It's incredibly important to the institution that's being talked about, but the general public probably do think it's old news at this point. That doesn't mean, however, that the institution doesn't have to acknowledge what's happened and deal with it.
I just mostly like calling out hypocrisy for people who sort of preach in the way that these people do, and then you don't live it yourself. Up next, going to get the sports. Going to talk about what is going on with the British economy, and are we going to be seeing higher interest rates at the time right now? 7:45. This is Talk Breakfast.